Welcome to the Women in Wealth podcast, brought to you by Regina McCann-Hess, a certified financial planner with over 2 decades of experience. This show is for professional women who want guidance in working towards their retirement vision in learning, building, planning, striving for your dreams, and putting the work in now so that you can pursue your financial independence. Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, I have a new friend with me. And Janine, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Oh man. Okay. Hi, I'm Janine Mix. I'm an author, speaker. I would say money motivationer. I don't know, money motivational speaker, but also coach. And what I love about what I do is empowering women to make more so they can change the world. I really believe that more money in the hands of women actually will change the world. So that's what I love about what I do.
I'm a fan about that. I love that. Absolutely. So go a little bit more in detail. I see that book behind you. Tell us about your book and tell us about some of the other work that you're doing.
Yes. So I recently published my book, Buy the Damn Coffee, and actually get to be on the NASDAQ Times Square billboard this Friday, which is amazing.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
I'm so excited. I wrote this book as an anthem. Buy the Damn Coffee is an anthem for any woman who feels guilty or like feels shame around money. And for me, it was the coffee. The coffee was the reminder, right? For me that like, okay, well, if I buy this coffee, that means I'll never be wealthy. And oh, look at me, I don't have the discipline and all of the things that people would call the latte factor. There are literally books written about coffee being the thing. Never for men. I feel like they're books
Yeah.
written for women. I always say, and I joke in the book, is I would love to see a wealth building book written by a man for men that tells them to cut out their golf membership or their beer. And
That's exactly what through my head. It's not coffee, it's golf memberships.
yeah. So, it's okay. I just don't know where this narrative came from. And I feel like it keeps us in a broke poverty mindset. And so the coffee isn't the problem. It's the relationship with our money. That's the problem. The coffee and the small insignificant purchases are not going to be the thing that makes or breaks your wealth. It's focusing on what I like to say, the other side of your budget, and that's your income. I really
Yeah.
feel like you have the greatest chance to impact your life and change your financial future by focusing more on what is coming in than what is going out. Of course, you need to course correct, right? And I always say, like, but your expenses have a floor. You can't live off of zero, but your income should never have a ceiling. And what you do with the gap that you can create in between those. So, yeah, you can cut out some things. And really, that should come from where you want to spend your money and how you want to be empowered through what you purchase, not
Mhm.
necessarily, cutting everything out and having no fun. Money should be fun. You should be setting aside money, a weird part of your paycheck, to have fun and enjoy it. But uh, that has a floor. Income has no ceiling. What you do with that gap, which is what I call get another payday, what you do with that, which is what I'm sure you do too, is invest it. And how do you multiply that gap? Maybe that gap needs to pay off some debt, sure, especially if you have a high interest debt. Sure. But really, you should be taking that gap and learning about how to get another payday, investing that in a business. Or for me, it was real estate. For me, I used real estate as a vehicle for financial freedom, and I was able to retire at 33. And I did that with no money, no job. Well, my husband had no job, bad credit. And we had to get really creative. And so I feel like if I could do it, anybody could do it. Because if you would have asked me when I was 25 years old, I share in my book, when I was 25 years old, living in a cockroach filled apartment,
Mm.
barely able to pay my bills, lost my job, like I would not have ever thought that I would be a multimillionaire through real estate. I would have thought you're like joking me, you're pulling a prank on me. But I really wrote this book to move away from the movement of those small, insignificant purchases and into really what is it that's holding us back from our financial capabilities. And that's really comes down to our relationship with money. And yes, you have a relationship with money, and it could be, I talk about three money influencers, for example. You're influenced by what you heard, what you learned, and what you experienced. It's really
Mhm.
simple. And through those three money influencers, it shapes everything you do, think, believe, behave around money. And no matter what income level you get at, you'll still have these money influencers that show up. They have to be able to recognize and rewrite or recognize and understand that growth is possible. I think that's another reason why I don't like this. Just cut out your coffee, cut out your credit cards, never be in any debt. You know, I have more debt now. I was six figures in debt. And now I'm a multimillionaire. I have more debt now than I did when I had my student loan debt. But it's leverage debt and it's allowed me to make way more money than I would have ever made cutting out my coffee. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's this movement into understanding your relationship with money, understanding how that affects how you will make it, your job, what you believe you're worth. There's just so many other things. If it was as easy as a budget, everybody knows, just like a diet, cut some calories and work out, and you should lose some weight, right? People think the same way with money. We all know that, like, okay, cut out some expenses, you make more money or save more money, and you're fine. But it's so much more than that. It's more of a psychological battle that you have to go through. I always say that wealth building starts in your mind well before it ever reflects in your wallet.
Yeah. 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 And you're right about the, it's like almost like they're shadows. They follow you, throughout your life. And things that we don't even realize that we remember from growing up are part of our financial psyche and, drive some of those decisions. So I'm 100% with you with this conversation.
Yeah. And fast forward again, I get married and I feel this same sense of like, I shouldn't really tell my husband when I've gone shopping. But I knew I wanted to do something different. I knew I wanted to be the trailblazer in my family. I knew I did not want the same generational financial curses and relationship with money than my family. I knew I
Yeah.
wanted to be the first millionaire in my family. I had a very strong vision for that. And so I refused. I said, okay, how? How do I rewrite this? So I decided that when I'd go shopping, I would put on a fashion show for my husband and I would show him every single piece of clothing that I bought. He's a very patient man. And he would just be like, that looks great, to rewrite the relationship and the experience that I had had and what it meant to like know that I can afford clothes and it doesn't have to be a negative, shameful, awful experience. But I had to do something physically, psychologically, right? Like literally do something different in order to write that story. So I didn't feel guilty. So I didn't
Mm.
feel like I had to hide something from my husband. I never wanted to hide anything financially from my husband. I never wanted to lie about finances. I wanted to lay it all out there. Well, fast forward to me writing my book, I decided to face the origin of that money event. And I decided to call my mom. My dad had passed away at this point, and I decided to call my mom. And I said, Mom, I'm writing a story in my book, and I kind of just want to talk to you about your perspective of the story. And so I shared with her. She knew exactly what shopping trip that I was talking about, and she's like, "Oh, we had so much fun." I said, "Do you remember when you told me to hide, to wait until Dad was asleep to bring in the clothes so that he didn't see it?" And she goes, "I don't remember that." And she goes, "Well, that's so weird. Your daddy knew everything we spent money on. I don't know why I would have done that, except for I had to do that with my dad." And her dad actually used to beat her when she'd wear makeup or dress certain ways. She had a very
Oh,
abusive father. And so here was this story taking place generation after generation, but it wasn't being broken and it wasn't being dealt with, right? We were just having that same shame and guilt and feelings around something like money. And I think money is a really interesting thing. I think it's very revealing. I think we avoid it because of fear and other things. We dismiss it thinking that it's humility. We really do have this relationship with money. And it's a very interesting thing that we end up working through trauma, childhood stories, through testing of our heart with our money too, our generosity and our greed. Money can be very, very revealing. And
mhm.
so that was my money event. That was something, and I have so many other events that I share in the book too. And I'm sure you guys can all your listeners, they can also understand and see like this exact story play out for them in whatever that is, and how that that still shows up today, and what does that say? And how does that make you feel when you go and spend money? So for me, it was like when I was succeeding and I had more money coming in, I rarely bought stuff for myself. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go shopping and I'm going to have that pretty woman experience. And I did, and I cried after. And I was like, there it is again. It doesn't change with your income level. Those stories and those influencers still impact you, but it was short lived.
Man, that's pretty awesome. And I think also, especially as women, we're conditioned to not think about money or handle money, or that we're told that we can't handle money
Mhm.
entire childhood and even into adulthood. So we have to change our mindset about that. And that's one of my missions, is to change that as well. So I think we're on similar paths with the conversation. So it's pretty awesome. So if people want to learn more about you and what you're doing, where would they go to find out more information?
Yeah. Well, I created a link just for your listeners. So you can go to janinemix.com/women wealth. Just one word, women wealth. And go to there. And I have a couple things on there. You can buy my book on there. You can join me for a free Facebook group. You can also download my 5-step money planner. And this is like a really good place to start. Most people just do not track their money. Okay. And I've used
Mm.
apps and stuff too. And I'm like, I personally, you have to find what works for you. I personally do not like multiple pie charts and multiple levels of a spreadsheet. It overwhelms me. It gives me like the hives. I sweat and I'm like, whoa, it just makes me feel really overwhelmed. So my sheet is a one page and you see the whole year and you can start actually planning. I like to say it's a financial plan, not a budget. I don't like the word budget. It doesn't make me feel good, but my financial plan I love because I can drag over that subscription. I know I'm going to pay this every month, right? You have your fixed, your fluctuating, your fudge expenses. So you can drag it over and you can start seeing where your money's going to go at the end of the year. And you can start pre-planning what you want to do with that money all on one sheet, no pie charts included.
Yeah. So it's
And
your spending plan and your saving plan and your income plan.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
And then it shows you the gap at the bottom, what you have left over, and then you get to make empowered decisions with that gap, which I think is really fun. And it's a 5-step money planner because it's got a couple tabs in there. It's got a tab also for you to set some goals. Most people don't know what they want. Most people want financial freedom, but they don't know how much money that would take. And I dare say it doesn't take as much as you think. So,
That's
um,
awesome.
you got to set some goals. You got to know where your money is. There's a whole sheet on there. Don't put your account numbers in there, okay? And your passwords. That would be silly. But it's got a whole sheet so you can know, like, where's my husband's 401k? I have no idea. I have dealt with so many women who have lost a husband and have no idea where the money is. And what's really sad about that is I think a lot of men want to provide and build, and it's totally innately wired for them to provide for their family. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. I'm not like a men versus women kind of woman at all. I think we have our gifts and they work beautifully together. I've gone through death with my dad. So my mom's actually gone through death, divorce, pretty much back to back. And that was really hard to see on her financially. And you can't make empowered, solid financial decisions when you have a traumatic event like that.
Yeah.
You can barely eat. You can barely
Yeah.
take care of the normal things like shower and eat, okay? Let
Yeah. It's very
alone have to
difficult.
deal with the finances. So if
Very
you can come
difficult.
up with a plan and simply just have it laid out, I think is really important. Of course, estate planning, all those things are super important to do too, and we avoid them because we think we're going to live forever, but we're not going to live forever. Having a plan and being prepared is really, really important. More important, I think, if you really want to build generational wealth and a legacy, not only do you need to have a financial plan and a end of life plan, you also need to pass on knowledge, knowledge to be able to multiply that money or have a plan for what, if you're going to give money to a family, what's something that they can learn with that money? Even if it's writing them a letter of like, this is what I would do with this money,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
just think that there's some really cool ways that you can pass on knowledge so that you don't statistically lose family wealth after the second generation. There's a lot of protecting of assets for generations to come too.
For sure. For sure. So, what are some of the challenge that you have faced as a professional woman?
Hmm. Um, I mean, I'd be lying if I say I haven't faced sexism in the real estate space for sure. But I would also say that I haven't been as confident in that on my own too, right? I don't want to like
Fair.
just blame that. But there have been blatant times I've sat in front of a banker, my husband and I signing on another property, and I ask a question and then they answer to him, and I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah.
I asked that. But I don't necessarily think that that's like their prejudice. I actually feel it's a lot of women, myself included. I couldn't even call myself an investor for a long time. I'd say my husband was the investor, and I don't know
Mm.
why I did that. I
Yeah.
didn't, it felt like imposter syndrome. Like I'm not the one doing it full time, even though I wasn't full time and my husband was leading that, I
Right.
was really a part of a lot of it. So I was like, he's the investor. He does real estate. I couldn't call myself an investor for years.
Mm.
And so maybe the reason that banker talked to my husband is because most of the time he's just more comfortable because it's usually the guy that's in the bank talking. Last night I had a dinner. I'm sitting around a table with I think there were like, let's say like six couples. It's a group that my husband is in. They're all multimillionaires. That's how you have to be in this group. And we're having a private dinner, and I'm looking around, and the men are just like, this is so great that we get to have this community of men who want to be better husbands, better fathers, better in their business, build success, but build it for not just themselves, but for others. Like it's really a great thing. I'm really happy my husband found an awesome community. I'm sitting there, and I was like, man, where's this for women? Like, while I'm here as a wife and I'm being very respected, and all the wives there too are absolutely wonderful, and many of them are also involved. This group is really a brotherhood of people who are trying, like, they can make deals with each other very quickly. There was a guy who literally like consulted the czar of Dubai, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? And being in rooms like that, it just reminds you how lacking women are of having that space in those rooms. And so
Yeah.
that is a challenge for me, is where are the rooms for women that can balance, because I think we work differently. We're not
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
drive, success, it's all that matters. I always say that women are wired for contribution, men are wired for competition. Not that they can't be
Mm.
wired for both, but I do feel like men thrive off of competition, off of provision, and that's fine. Women, it's like we want to succeed, and of course we want to like buy ourselves nice things and our family and this, but we really want to give back to our community. We're very communal, and that's why statistically, even married couples, when there is financial success, they're more philanthropic because of the wife statistically. So, it's a good balance. It's a good balance. That's why I say men and women work together really well if you really hone in on your strengths.
There's a nice
Um,
balance between the two.
yes. And so I'm sitting in this room and I'm just like, man, where's the room of women that I can say, "Hey, I've got a 26 unit building in uh, you know, in Arizona that I want to build, and I'm fundraising. I'm looking for private equity and partners. I need 100 grand each buy-in. This is your return on investment." And I get three women that raise their hand in the room.
Yeah.
I have yet to have found that room. I don't know if I'm sure it exists. I haven't found it, but it's just like, if you want to really move the needle, it goes beyond, please don't take this wrong. It goes beyond pajama parties and Prosecco, like we
Mm.
like those things too. Okay. We are really fun. I think you can add these fun elements into female groups like this that men would be like, why are you even doing this right now? Like, this is all business, because we're
Yeah.
not wired that way. But there needs to be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
There needs to be a balance of both, actually being honest, straightforward with numbers, with growth, investment opportunities, and connections. Getting yourself in those rooms and building those rooms for women too, I think is like really important, instead of feeling threatened by other
Yeah.
successful women, or threatened or insecure because they're doing such bigger things. In that room last night, I'm probably the least successful person in here. That's the room you want to be in.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was like,
Absolutely.
so I would say that's definitely one of the biggest challenges.
That's cool. That's cool. So, what is your vision of retirement then?
Mm. Well, technically I'm retired. But I kind of don't believe in this old view of retirement that you work really hard and once you're 65, then you get to live your life. That was something I really struggled with. I was like, wait, my best years of my life where I'm able to travel with ease, I'm gonna sacrifice to work at a job that I'm not super happy at, and then I'm gonna live. And I was not okay with seeing the world from a tour bus. And that was a big motivator for me to start now, start today. Like they say the best time to invest was 20 years ago, second best time is today.
Yeah.
And I believe in that. Like, you're never too late. That's a lie. Oh, it's too late for me, or oh, this, it'll never happen. It's all a lie. Like, you can start literally today. It could be as simple as setting up a mutual fund for yourself. Like, it's like start today. It's one step. And it's not just that thing that's going to break you free financially. It's the fact that you took action, and then you're going to want to take another action and another action, and that snowballs. Your efforts will compound. And so, my idea of retirement, I guess now, I think we're in this place. Maslow's hierarchy of needs talks about, the different levels of your needs in life. And, at the beginning, you're like, I need to put food on the table and pay my bills. But as you build wealth, there is a point where you reach a point of contribution. And I think that's where my husband and I are at right now. Like, what could we do to help other people get here? And so, we have a couple YouTube channels launching. One is Adventures with Millionaires, where we interview millionaires while doing something really epic and entertaining. So not only are you entertained enough to like get the information, because we're in the day and age of information overload, but
Yeah.
you're getting really good advice from people who are totally out of their comfort zone, which is a very unique position to put successful people in. So you're getting a unique aspect of them that makes them more human or relatable. Because when someone's like, I make 50 million a year, you're like, good for you. And you don't feel like you can relate to them. But when you get them on a roller coaster and they're scared and talking about peeing their pants, you're like, oh, they're human. And they started somewhere too. And so part of our next kind of step in life is that YouTube channel. And then the other channel that will be coming out later this year is Epic Generosity. Listen, you aren't meant to just make money for you. You're blessed to be a blessing. And I really believe that money's supposed to move through you. It's like a current. It's supposed to move through you, not stop at you. If you're wondering why you haven't reached your breakthrough, it might be because your fists are clenched like this. They're just clenched so tight that you're not even open to receiving. So once you open and you can be a vehicle for that to flow through, I do believe that more will come and you're able to do more with it. And so our next channel is Epic Generosity. We're giving back in really unique, also entertaining ways to show you that not only is generosity a part of most successful people. You want to be like, oh no, rich people are greedy. In my experience, most rich people have been some of the most generous people that I've ever met.
A hundred
But
percent.
also, yeah, but then also, money is such a cool tool. If you want to show people love, meet a need for them, like really,
Mm-hmm.
truly a need. You can say, I love you and I wish the best for you. I'm praying for you, whatever. I'm sending you good thoughts, right? You could say that. But what about paying their rent? I don't know. I just think that it's such a unique way to show care and love to meet a need like that. And I want to show that it doesn't take that much money and you don't have to be a multimillionaire to help someone out. Grant you, it becomes easier. It becomes when you have more, you can give more and you can write bigger checks. I remember I had a very specific goal. I wanted to write a check to a counter human trafficking organization I had known for years. And it was one of my biggest goals. I said, I want to write, and I would write it 10 things down every day for like 2 years, every day. And the day that I got to write that organization a check for $30,000, I cried because it was like, it happened. That's so cool. And this gets to actually help rescue children out of human trafficking. Like
Yeah.
that's amazing. And so as much as you want to deny this tool because you think money is evil, money's not evil. Money magnifies who you already are. So,
Yeah.
money isn't evil. It's a heart issue. Yes, there are a lot of greedy wealthy people, but there's also a lot of greedy poor people too. So, money doesn't
It's
change
true.
you. Yeah, money doesn't change you. It magnifies who you already are. So if you're already someone who's considering like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have wealth, maybe it's selfish, blah, 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 you're probably not greedy because greedy people don't think like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think our action item can be a open vessel for money so
yes.
that, as it comes through you, you can help another person down the line. I like that.
Yeah. And keep in mind, I think a lot of people give their shirt off their back when they're broke. Keep in
Mm-hmm.
mind, it's just like when you're in an airplane. Put on your face mask first,
Mm-hmm.
then help others. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's not selfish. You need to be in a place where you're not giving away money where you're like, I literally can't afford this and it's hurting me. Okay, but I'm just going to do it anyways. No, I think you can do it from a place that is not harmful to your financial situation too. And also, like, maybe you're thinking your kids. I'm just going to set my kids up for a financial account, for an investment account for them, but you don't have one. Don't become a financial responsibility and liability for your kids when you get older too. Put on your face mask. You matter. Your financial stability matters for your family. They need to see it too. And so I really believe, like, your face mask first and then help others. And there's nothing selfish about that. It's actually a very wise thing to do.
The way to do it. That's the way to do it. And on that, thank you so much for joining me. Great conversation. And I want to thank everyone else for listening. And don't forget about our action item: be a vessel for money, help the next person. I am Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and my website is forgewealth.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and on LinkedIn, Regina McCann-Hess. Go make it a great day. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Women in Wealth podcast. You can watch the founders video I created for you to learn more about me and how I can guide you towards your financial independence at www.forgewealth.com. The information in this podcast is educational and general in nature and does not take into consideration the listener's personal circumstances. Therefore, it is not intended to be a substitute for specific, individualized financial, legal, or tax advice. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a final decision. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Forge Wealth Management are separate entities from the LPL Financial. Our show guests and their companies are not affiliated with nor endorsed by LPL Financial, Private Advisor Group, or Forge Wealth Management.